This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Friday, December 15th, 2023. I'm Kate Sharon. When the Indiana General Assembly convenes next month, rural interest groups will be pushing for more local control over water supplies, greater broadband internet access, and steps to provide more medical personnel for rural hospitals. Debate over who should control the state's water resources has been spurred by a controversial proposal to consider pumping water from Wabash River aquifers in the Lafayette area to a state-crafted advanced manufacturing park 35 miles away in Boone County. But many other issues will also dominate the rural agenda when lawmakers convene January 8th for a short legislative session that is required to end by March 14th. Andy Tower, Indiana Farm Bureau Executive Director of Public Policy.
As we know, this is a shorter session than 24 at the General Assembly, and so a lot of our work here is really trying to get us prepared for conversations that we anticipate to have in the 25 session when it is a budget year.
The Indiana Rural Health Association's priorities primarily involve bolstering the rural health care workforce and increasing the number of rural doctors and nurses through residency and nursing school expansions. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation on Thursday approved incentives for the redevelopment of a 124-year-old former school in downtown Valparaiso. Urshel Development Corp. plans to invest $40 million to convert the 1899 Gardner School building into a 58-room boutique hotel. Site work has already taken place, including the demolition of a 6,000-square-foot gymnasium on the east side of the building that was added by the Boys and Girls Club, as well as 3 adjacent homes. The developer plans to not only refurbish the original building, but add new wings on the east and west sides of the building, bringing the completed project to 65,000 square feet. Some black leaders are seeking an explanation from the Indiana Democratic Party brass after Zanai Brooks said she was abruptly fired from her role as the state party's executive director. News of her departure, which was first reported by political commentator Abdul Hakim Shabazz in his Cheat Sheet newsletter, came as a surprise to her supporters. A spokesperson for the Indiana Democratic Party said the organization does not comment on personnel issues. In a memo to members of the party's state central committee, Democratic Party Chair Mike Schmuels thanked Brooks for her service to the party, according to a party official. Brooks, who is black and ran for state auditor in 2022, sent an email on November 20th to members of the state central committee, explaining that she did not resign but was terminated. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Whether it's a new hire or a noteworthy promotion, IIB's Bigwigs and New Gigs serves as a platform to promote your team. Our revamped offering includes being featured on both the newly redesigned newsletter and at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Subscribers to the Business News subscription save $10 off every listing. Plus, you can save $100 by bundling your submission to IIB with the Indianapolis Business Journal or the Indiana Lawyer. More at InsideIndianaBusiness.com.
The remaining vendors at the historic Indianapolis City Market won't have to pay rent prior to a March closure for a $200 million redevelopment of the entire block the structure sits on, the city announced Thursday. IIB's Alex Brown has more.
The Indianapolis Department of Metropolitan Development and the Indianapolis City Market Corporation said they will waive the monthly rent costs for 15 vendors in advance of a closure that has created substantial uncertainty for business owners. Hogsett administration officials have not yet released an ending date for the closure and have not committed to mitigation measures for the vendors. The city's statement said that officials with DMD and City Market Corporation will continue to meet with the vendors, quote, to understand each of their respective needs as small business owners, end quote. The struggling market has only enough vendors to fill just half of its 28 stalls, and these vendors have been placed on month-to-month leases in advance of the redevelopment. The market, which Indy DMD dubbed Market House in Thursday's news release, is part of the City Market East project, a joint venture between City Mark and Gershman Partners. The project includes the reskinning and redevelopment of the iconic 20-story Gold building into 350 apartments, as well as the construction of an 11-story, 60-unit apartment tower to replace the City Market's East Wing, updates to an office building at the southwest corner of Ohio and Alabama streets, and an expansion of the City Market itself. Alex Brown, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The Indiana Department of Transportation is updating its construction schedule for the final phase of the Sherman-Mitten Renewal Project. Officials say the bridge, which carries I-64 and US 150 traffic over the Ohio River between New Albany and Louisville, is set to be substantially complete by late spring 2024. The double-deck Sherman-Mitten Bridge carries a total of 6 lanes of traffic across the river. The new permanent configuration will have westbound traffic on the top deck and eastbound traffic on the bottom deck. Construction on the 4-phase project began in 2021. The 4th and final phase got underway in late November. However, INDOT said the updated schedule was made due to industry-wide delays caused by material and labor shortages. The Terre Haute Convention and Visitors Bureau announced Karen Dyer as its new Director of Strategic Initiatives. Dyer comes to the newly created role after serving as Executive Vice President for Advancement in Strategic Initiatives at St. Mary of the Woods College. The Bureau said in her new role, Dyer will plan initiatives and support long-term growth in line with the city's tourism expansion goals. A review of a random sampling of constituent surveys from several lawmakers appeared to show a Republican priority to tackle education topics in the upcoming legislative session, followed by fiscal concerns. Aside from those two broad areas of concern, questions ran the gamut from healthcare and broadband to farmland policies and Ohio River tolls, reflecting the individual focuses of each lawmaker. The Indiana Capital Chronicle reviewed over 113 questions across 58 different surveys, trying to include a variety of lawmakers across the political spectrum and those with or without leadership roles within the caucus. The evaluation included the longest-serving member, Senator Vanetta Becker of Evansville, and a smattering of new faces who will serve for the first time this year. Neither Republican caucus said they kept a databank of their members' questions, and each survey notes that the inclusion of a question doesn't indicate whether a member supports or opposes any specific policy. Vincennes University President Chuck Johnson is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond, available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Kate Sharon for Inside Indiana Business, Radio on Demand.